Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dharma Helper, and this is DH Reviews. This is my Season 1 predictions and expectations video for Agent Carter. I should start off by saying that I've, again, stayed away from a lot of the promotional material and the news coming out about Agent Carter just to kind of keep my perspective fresh and unique and keep my ideas sort of uninfluenced by the things that have been coming out. With that said, this video is going to mainly talk about what I think Agent Carter needs to do as a series to stand out and to succeed apart from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and apart from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Leading into that, the first thing I want to talk about is the idea that Agent Carter should look and it should feel unique. It should stand out in terms of aesthetics and all that from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a main thing for their success is that each one of those movies has its own feel, has its own style, its own sort of flavor, but it adds to the whole, but it's able to stand up on its own. And I think they need to translate that into the small screen with Agent Carter and with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And if they don't do that, then you have a series that is the same old, that could essentially just be a flashback episode, 5 or 10 minutes of a flashback in the second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't think that's what they're going to try and do. I think their goal here is to expand the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a show that can stand up on its own. And the second thing I want to talk about in terms of standing out is the ensemble cast. If you look again at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all of those movies have stellar ensemble supporting characters. Obviously the best example of that would be the Avengers, with all the Avengers sort of supporting each other, and you have Black Widow and Hawkeye and Nick Fury. If you look at a movie like Thor, you have Loki, Odin, Natalie Portman's character, scientist guy, Natalie Portman's friend. If you look at Iron Man, you have Pepper Potts, Jarvis, War Machine, Jon Favreau. It was the driver guy. If you look at Captain America, you have obviously Peggy Carter, who is a strong character in that movie, in the first Avenger. If you look at the Howling Commandos, Arnim Zola, who's a scientist who worked with the Red Skull, Stanley Tucci's character, Tommy Lee Jones. All these characters really bring a lot of support, and they bring a lot more to the movies as a result of that. And again, they need to translate that into the small screen with Agent Carter and have a strong supporting cast, which I'll talk about in just a second in terms of my ideas for that. But the third and final thing I want to talk about is pacing. If you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the first season sort of stutter-stepped and had a very weak pacing leading up to that twist with Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think that if Agent Carter is going to succeed, they can't do that. They have to hit the ground running, and they have to keep a strong pace and not stutter-step around waiting for this movie or waiting for this particular point in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They have to keep going and do their own thing. And that's all I want to talk about in terms of the broad strokes of success for the series. And I'd like to talk now about the characters of the series. Obviously, we have the first character we can talk about is Agent Peggy Carter, who is Captain America's love interest in the first Captain America movie, and she's an agent for the Strategic Scientific Reserve, and she works with Howard Stark, and I'll talk about him in a minute. What I want to see from her in the first season, obviously she's dealing with the loss of Captain America, so we should see her maybe throw herself into her work at the Scientific Reserve, but also throw herself into her work as an agent with Howard Stark. And again, I'll talk about Howard in just a second. But for the first half of the season, I'd like to see her cope with that grief by throwing herself into her work. And then for the second half of the season, maybe we see her open up and start to accept Captain America, that Steve is gone. And that's sort of her arc and her growth for the first season. again, Howard Stark is a huge player in the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D. He works with Peggy in the first Avenger, and I believe in the short story that they did as a Blu-ray exclusive or whatever, they worked together. And for this series, I'd like to see him be her support system and be comic relief, because the Starks are kind of known for their sort of smart-ass comments and comic relief stuff. So he can kind of serve that role in the series. And he can also kind of, we can see him and his search for Cap and his search for the Tesseract and all this stuff. And what we see from him, I think, in the first season is going to be sort of the polar opposite of Peggy's mindset, where Peggy's trying to move on and Howard is trying to, not give up on Steve. And then going back to the idea of an ensemble cast, I think it makes the most sense to bring in the Howling Commandos, who were Steve's old unit in the first movie, and they work on a lot of missions and stuff together. And I think the main idea of Season 1 is going to be continuing the legacy of Steve Rogers and the legacy of Captain America. And the best way they can do that is if Peggy and Howard work with Steve's old team and kind of continue his work in bringing justice and truth and all that stuff to the world through their work in missions and so on. And it would be cool to see those characters again and to see the impact that Steve's loss has on the Howling Commandos and on Howard and on Peggy. A character who I think would be cool to see, but might be a long shot, would be somebody like Arnim Zola, who like I said was the scientist who worked with the Red Skull to channel the energy of the Tesseract in the first movie. And in the second movie, he was revealed to be the one behind Hydra's infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D. from S.H.I.E.L.D.'s conception. And he was brought to America as part of Operation Paperclip, I believe. And I think seeing him work scientifically with Howard, or work in terms of the agency of S.H.I.E.L.D., would be a nice homage to that storyline in this Captain America the Winter Soldier, and a nice homage to the storyline in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'll talk about that in just a second as well. I don't know in terms of what other characters we can expect to see from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so that I'd like to talk a little bit about the story. And like I said, I think Steve Rogers' loss, Captain America's loss, is going to play a huge part in the first season, and how people deal with that and how people cope with that. And I think that's going to carry everybody throughout the season. It's going to be this overarching idea of what can we do now that Steve Rogers, Captain America, the poster boy for Americana and for all this stuff, he's gone. So where do we go from here? And I think another huge part of the first season is going to be Arnim Zola's efforts to bring Hydra back and to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't think it should be clear which characters are working with whom initially. I think obviously Howard and Peggy are our stand-up good guys, but everybody else should kind of be up in the air, and their motives and their morals should be questionable. Because that's the problem with Agent Carter, is we know that S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually becomes corrupt and Hydra infiltrates S.H.I.E.L.D. So a way they can get around that is making sure that we're not sure which characters are working with Hydra, working with Arnim, and which characters are genuinely trying to help S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think that's going to be a huge part of the first season. In terms of other story, obviously Peggy Carter is this spy, and she's working with Howard on missions and stuff. So I think seeing her go to other countries, seeing her fight other agencies that are similar to Hydra, or splinter groups that are similar to Hydra, is going to play a part in this first season. But again, I think the main story is going to be, number one, how do we deal with Captain America being gone? Number two, which characters are being truthful, and where is Hydra going to come in and infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. With that said, that's pretty much all I have in terms of Agent Carter. So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you guys for watching this video. But not only that, thank you guys for all your support over the course of this week. If you are looking forward to my reviews, which are going to come out next week, which I'll talk about here in just a second, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. If you like this week's content, leave a like so that I know I'm headed in the right direction. Leaving a like really helps me out, guys. It helps boost the videos, and it helps me know that I'm headed in the right direction, as well as it gives me more opportunities to reach more people and better the channel. And also, share the video on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media, so that it can get out to more people and we can really build the channel into a strong community. And share your thoughts in the comment section, your thoughts on anything that I talked about this week, as well as your thoughts on Agent Carter, which will premiere in January, I believe, after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. goes on break. With that said, I'll leave the links to the videos that came out later this week in the description, or I'll annotate them here in the video. But watch those if you haven't already, and my reviews will start next week on Tuesday with my Gotham review, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be on Wednesday, and Scorpion, which I didn't talk about at all this week, will be on Thursdays. Once again, thank you guys very much for all your support. I have a couple ideas I want to sort of throw around next week, and with Agent Carter. So I'll keep you guys posted in terms of the ideas moving the channel forward here. So leave feedback in the comment sections, and I'll take that feedback into consideration. And again, I'm new to this and all this video editing and all that stuff. So any support, any feedback is welcome. I really want to build this channel up, guys. So with that said, again, thanks very much for watching. I'm Dharma Helper, and this is DH Reviews, and I will see you guys next week. Take it easy, guys.